What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to do a real quick video right now. I just sold my Joby 5K Gorilla Pod that I have for a couple years now. Joby's a great company. The reason why I'm selling it because I'm becoming more of a gear minimalist. Things I don't use much, I'm just trying to get rid of. If I decide that I need it at a future point, I'd rather be able to just buy that and also just put it back into the creator environment so someone else can put it to use. There was a buyer. He just picked up a Sony A7C II, which is a great full-frame Sony camera, great low-light capabilities, 422 10-bit, all that stuff. Even though I shoot primarily with Canon, I'm always staying up to date with some of the other cameras coming out. So he was excited to get that. I was excited to sell it to him. One of the questions he had is like, how do you feel? Because I know this will cost like $110 brand new. I sold it to him for about $65, and I was just kind of like, you know what? You can't look at when you sell something in a moment as like it's half the price off of what I purchased it, because I got so much value out of using it at the time that I had it. Not to mention, keep in mind, it's like sewing back into the creator community, right? There's gear that I have purchased for like half the price of the original price. I bought the Canon 85 1.2, which is got a video on it just talking about a great value lens that was purchased for $500, right? So that was a $2,000 lens at one point in time. Whoever had that lens, when they sold it to me, there was a photographer, they used it, they move on. So ultimately, you just want to sew back into the community, buy your gear, get your use out of it, and when you feel like you're not using it as much, I don't recommend holding on to it, just because it just creates clutter and it just distracts you from focusing on the gear that you could be using. So that's my mindset in terms of gear. Last but not least, to add on to that, talking about sewing back into the community, he also has some questions. Joby 5K Gorilla Pod has a proprietary plate, which is not something that you can just pick up anywhere. You can order it on Amazon, but it could take days to get. And when you normally buying items that you just can't pick up immediately, you always want to have a backup. I actually gave him a backup for free. But I also recommended that he attach something like this Ulanzi quick release plate to that, because it just makes it easier. So when you take something like this Instago 3, if I want to mount it real quick, it's there. Real quick, real fast, has a safety locking mechanism. I talked about it on the channel more than before. I'm gonna put a link in the description box below if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it no matter what camera company you have. It's just a universal quick release plate that is going to be adaptable to whatever system you're using. I've used it with a Canon C70. It won't be necessarily my first choice if I'm moving a tripod, just because, you know, with cinema cameras there's actually one extra mounting hole just to give a little bit more sturdy. But for a day shooting or something like that, it holds tight. Just make sure it's tight. But I just love how easy it is, and even in terms of like tightening it up at the bottom, it's right there, and you can do it with the rail, or you can use something like a multi-use tool from Small Rig and just snap that in. So as much as I use the multi-use tool from Small Rig, which I highly recommend having in your camera bag, when it came down to having like a Condor blue monitor mount years ago, the problem was I loved the mount, but whenever I mounted a monitor and I adjusted it, tilted it, it just will always come loose, and I would have to mount it on the fly, and it just takes up so much time. It could be really cumbersome. So that's why I even shout out to Small Rig for creating a little tension arm with their newer designs, because even them, the earlier models of monitor mount didn't have this tension arm, and it just makes it easier when you're running and gunning. And for someone like me, when I'm shooting, sometimes I'm doing 3 cameras all by myself, so to be able to adjust a monitor mount real quick and just tighten it without having to go in the camera bag and grab a multi-use tool is something that is so beneficial. So ultimately, do not sleep on taking time to buy the right mounting accessories that get the job done. In the long run, it's going to do you very well. So like tripods I bought from Benro, Ulanzi, you know, some of them got Arca Swiss plates. By picking up something like this, I don't ever have to worry about having the right mounting accessory, just because I leave the brand base plate in there at all times. I attach it to this, and I drop it to fly. We there. So my GoPro, my action camera, my Osmo Pocket 3, I put base plates on the bottom of it, and whenever I want to mount them, it just makes it seamless, a seamless process. So we're going to wrap up the video right there. I didn't want to take up too much time. It just came off the top of the mind. I wanted to talk about mounting accessories real quick, as well as, you know, just in terms of sewing back into the creator community by selling off your gear and just focusing on what you really need. Again, Joby's a great company. I have a 3K, I have a 1K, and that's more than enough for what I'm going to use it for. But the 5K, definitely want to just, you know, get rid of that, as well as some other gear I'm going to be getting rid of. And I'm going to kind of talk about why I'm letting it go, as well as some new additions I might be adding to the camp. But if you got questions, comment down below. With that being said, as always, stay creative, be courageous, and get on your grind.